Hey, how's it going, Sadie?
Hey, good. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah,
If you can you do a small introduction of who you are?
sure. I'm Sadie, and I have born and raised in Jacksonville, Florida. I have been in real estate for about 4 years now, and also I own Jax Gals, which is a uh, basically a group for women to get together, hang out. It has a networking piece to it, social piece to it. So I'm a busy girl.
Yeah, no, I actually saw that. I met Sadie and everything not too long ago at this real estate seminar with Steve. Well,
Steve Shane.
Steve Shane.
Yeah.
I always like, hey, what's his full name? Steve
Yeah,
Shane. And
love some Steve Shane.
no, he's great. He definitely gives you like that Tom Ferry vibe,
Mm-hmm.
and he knows it all already.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's great to meet people who have that type of experience and pass it along to everybody else.
Yeah, it's definitely inspirational to have like to be a good producing agent who has that skill set that he does, and definitely inspiring to make me want to also like pour into other people also.
Yeah.
A lot of new agents reach out to me too and ask me like, oh, I want to get my license, or like, I already got my license, now what the heck do I do? And there's something so powerful for you to have that knowledge and just want to bleed it into other people.
Yeah, no, for sure. And Steve definitely has like that pep to his step.
Yeah.
And, like it's great to see someone with that type of personality because that's someone who you kind of want to learn from.
Yeah, absolutely.
As long as you're on the move the whole entire time, then things are going to follow you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I kind of see with him and what he kind of gives out to people.
I agree.
And especially with John, who was hosting the class too. He's my brother-in-law, as you know. And, having a great lender and a great realtor works great hand in hand, especially with insurance. I always say like try to put us all in a group chat, so like then we all get to be like the Bermuda Triangle in a way. We all can figure it all out ourselves.
Yeah, dream team.
Sorry if you hear my dog. He's I guess I'll just grab him.
He wants lots of pets.
Yeah.
You gotta be good.
All right, Groot, I know you're part of the show, but tell me a little bit about the women gals. That's really cool. Like
Yeah.
you have about like 8,000 girls on the page and everything.
Yeah. So it started on Facebook. We're in the middle of completely rebranding it essentially. So right now we have Jax Gals Social and Jax Gals Network.
Yeah.
Right now we're merging them. So it's just gonna be Jax Gals.
Okay.
And it's gonna have a social membership to it and then a networking membership within it too.
No, that's really strong because like it's great to see like a big community like that all come together and everything, and that's how we all learn from each other.
Yeah.
We have to like kind of go back to our roots in a way. Like we need to have an all girls group, probably should have an all guys group somewhere, and just like meet each other halfway.
Yeah. There's no guys group in Jacksonville, so
I know it's kind of interesting. I was thinking of that. I was like, is there a all guys group?
No, absolutely not. It needs to happen.
That's really cool though.
Yeah. I being born and raised in Jacksonville, there we go. And it's okay. He's okay. He's just dramatic. Being born and raised in Jacksonville, it's like obviously I have like a core group of friends, but I created it because I was like, wow, I want to go to the zoo. Like I want to do something fun.
Yeah.
And nobody was like available or something that weekend, and I was like, well, if like I'm just gonna make this so I could do fun things with people.
No, I think that's really cool because when I was in Virginia Beach, there were groups like Australian Shepherd groups, and like you can go to the beach with all these people who have Australian Shepherds, because it's kind of funny because some of them only like to hang out with Australian Shepherds. They don't like any other type of dogs, and because they're very vocal, as you can tell with this dog.
Yeah.
He's usually not vocal at all. He's actually very silent. I call him Silent Sam.
Oh yeah.
But he like I say, likes women, so he always goes up to them and likes to say hi. But I'm sorry for making you whine.
It's okay.
But now you're being quiet, so that's good.
He forgives you.
Yeah. Well, so when did you create that group or co-founded it?
So I created it in August of 2022, and then it was just like me making it up as I went. And then I met my business partner Amber through it, so we're now co-owners with it.
And she does real estate too?
She does not. No.
Oh, okay.
She is an operations manager for a roofing company.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so she's like true to heart operations person, and I am very much not. So she keeps us organized and like the right way of things, not just making it up as we go kind of thing, like more strategy to it.
No, that's good. We all need like an organizer.
100%.
My friend Raven, she's a professional organizer in Colorado, and it was kind of funny how it all happened because like she was just accommodating like this family of, you know, getting everything done in the house, you know, being a nanny, then also like controlling like the landscapers, organizing everything coming in and out. And she ended up doing that as a full-time job, you know, like, and organizing like what needs to be done at the house, you know, like housekeepers, stuff like that. But like Groot, I don't know why he's been whining. Come here, Bubba. It's okay. Last couple podcasts, he hasn't been like this at all.
That's okay.
Usually just lays down.
Just a collective. I'm gonna try to ignore him now, so maybe he'll just take the hint.
Yeah, maybe. Guys don't do that sometimes. But no, that's really cool because like, especially like not knowing that many people, like for myself and everything, being new to town, to find like a group like that would be really awesome. I know it probably won't be that welcoming with a guy with 8,000 girls, even though odds are probably really good. But no, that's really amazing because, like I said, we definitely do need more things like that, and you could just meet people from it too.
Right, exactly. You know? And being a community builder is so powerful and then so rewarding at the same time. Like I can't tell you how many people reach out to me, or like I'll see like groups of friends hanging out, and I'd be like, that was from Jax Gals. Like all of those girls are together right now because of Jax Gals, and that's like so freaking cool to me that like if something that I created wasn't a thing, like these people may have never crossed paths before, and now they're like best friends.
Oh, I know. That's like what's so cool about it, because like y'all are going to one thing together, and it's like going to like a kind of like a sports event, but you're all going for one team.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and that's what's so amazing about it, because like there's like probably no arguments or anything like that into it. You're all corresponding what's going on with your lives. And no, that's very awesome. I know I said that before, but like, what do y'all do? Like is there like a goal to it or anything?
I think like initially the goal was just like to meet people and just like do some fun things together, but also like an aspect of creating like a sphere of influence pretty much through my real estate business was definitely a piece of it too. But it's evolved so much more than that. Your question, what do we do, is I don't know, just like things like in December we're doing a cookie exchange and watching like a movie, like nice. I don't know, so that's the social side. And then the network side, we have like a round table. It's going to be called Slay SLEIGH. Is that how you spell Slay? Slay 2025. So it's like building up. It's with a motivational like life coach, and she's going to teach us like, I don't know, fundamental pieces of how to like start off 2025 like super strong. So it's also cool to like create a platform for other women who are leaders in their industries and give them the platform to speak to other people too. Yeah, for sure. No, that's definitely very powerful. Is like I feel like sometimes you do need to create a group to find your own voice in a type of way. For people who do relate to you, and they're like, okay, well, that person feels the same exact thing I'm feeling. I mean, so like that's different. Yeah. You know, like, and I think that's what like we're kind of seeing now, like the new era in a type of way, because like say like with the media and stuff, like podcasters are kind of like taking over because like they kind of give like more of a general perspective of things, like longer, if that makes sense, instead of hearing like small clips and they're just moving on from it. And I think creating groups like that, instead of like people just talking on Facebook and everything, they actually meeting people in person. And then you really get to know really who they are behind the screen. Right. Because like I always say, you can never tell a joke through a text. Yeah. Because like it's like, good luck with that. You know what I mean? Unless you're really good at it, and no one is. And that's when it gets really interesting. Yeah. One of our mottos is like, where plans leave the group chat, because it's like so easy to like try to set something up, but like for it to actually execute and like do that, making adult friends is hard. So no, it definitely is, especially like when you get like after like 25. Yeah. Like I'm 29. How old are you? 29. 29. Yeah. Oh wow. See, like right around there. And it's really crazy because like it does get harder because like you never see your friend, like most of your friends again after high school. Like they say you never see like 90% of the people from your school ever again. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, that definitely makes sense and everything. And
I always say, like, you make your own family out of your friends.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? At least you can leave them.
Mm-hmm.
You can't leave your family.
Yeah.
And that's what's so amazing about your group, because like you're creating like a giant pack of family.
Absolutely.
And definitely can create a big influence on a lot of things and a big wave on things of how, of what people want to vote for.
Yeah.
I think that's very incredible, because like everyone does have a voice.
Mm-hmm.
As long as it makes sense, Yep. You know what I mean? And things that correspond, they correspond.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's very beautiful.
I like it. Thanks.
Yeah, of course. So like, let's see. So have you gotten any deals from that in real estate from you creating the group?
Yeah, absolutely. There's tons of women in there who, we've done buyer consults where we talk about investing, and I've only done that once or twice, but people are very excited about it, especially just to be in like a safe space where like they like know and trust me already, just through the group. And so it's not like, it doesn't feel salesy. It's like somebody who
like
has
welcoming already.
Yeah. Somebody has this piece of knowledge that you're interested in learning about, but like, at the end of the day, like you're not going to be pressured to buy something. Like it's like, come chat 2 years later when you're ready or whatever. So
as long as they have questions and everything you have like ready to answer.
Yeah.
Those little snippets really go a really long way. And like you said, like 2 years later, they're going to give you a call probably.
Exactly.
Everything like that.
I think when you're heavily sphere based in your business, like I am, I'm 100% sphere. It's like, it's always a long game, and it's never, you have to build that relationship with people. You have to build that trust. And I would say probably my most traumatic real estate experiences are with people who I don't build that with, and I don't want to work with those type of people, like meeting them at open houses and like starting to show like immediately, and like we don't build that friendship and connection, and like they don't have that trust built immediately with you. It's like when you give them advice, like they're like, how do I really know? You're like telling me the truth, And
it's too salesy, like you said. Yeah. Like because you never know, especially people at open houses. Mm-hmm. Because it's like only my sister told me this the other day, and I think I heard it before. Like only 1% will buy that house. Who walks in that door. I'm like, well, obviously, because only one person is going to buy that house.
Right.
You know what I mean? But like, it is a difference from meeting someone outside of work, and like then you just let them know what you do. Then like, oh no way, I want to buy a house, or I'm looking to buy a house in the future.
Exactly.
And I think what we were talking about from at that real estate seminar with Steve was about like how everyone's like making videos and stuff like that from like touring the house. And I was saying like, oh, y'all should do like the A, B, or C, D, and see like which house would want to get toured next. And I was telling my dad, I was like, yeah, like when we were doing that for his housing Instagram and Facebook and stuff like that, like we would get so many people would answer what house would want to get built next. And I noticed that probably the people who put the like the least popular answer, they were the ones who were probably wanting to buy the house next. Because like everyone's going to pick the most popular one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But who's going to pick the least most popular?
Yeah.
And it kind of sets a little bit something different. And I know like right now, a lot of leads from online are probably mostly bad now. Like when I was in real estate, right when you got your license and stuff like that, it was all internet leads. Everyone was on the internet leads and stuff.
They were so cheap.
Yeah. And now like, you have a territory, you're paying so much for it, and you're like, well, if I really want to target that territory, what are things around there that I can go to show myself of?
Yeah.
Like that's why like I picked this area, because I can drive in a circle. Like on San Pablo and Atlantic and Beach Boulevard. I just literally drive one circle, and that's all I have to do.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting, like how being new to some place, but then introducing yourself to other places you've never been before.
Yeah, and you kind of said something that's like so important, especially if they're wanting to get into like the real estate business or whatever. It's like choosing your area, and it's like becoming an expert of that area, and getting people to just know who you are from that area. Like a lot of people that I've listened to and have learned from, they say like, you can't just do an open house. Like you have to go there, and you have to door knock beforehand and invite the neighbors, and you have to circle dial and call the neighborhood and invite them over. And then, yeah, you're going to have a freaking successful open house. But if you just put some signs up and open the door. Like,
yeah, because if you go knock and ask the neighbors first, they'll call their friends like, hey, I finally want you to move next door to me. You should come to this open house with me. And you see them coming with their friends and stuff like that, then you already met them.
Right.
So you already got that housewarming gift and everything from them. It kind of already breaks that awkward silence. Like right when they're walking in, like, so how's it going, guys?
Yeah,
You're like, all right. Yeah, I'm just tired kicking.
Yeah.
Or I'm already working with somebody. I'm
Right.
like, all right, that's cool. Well,
it breaks down the walls of like it feeling salesy to like that relationship building.
yeah. When I was selling cars, one of my mentors selling cars, his name was Joey, and he was my first trainer. It was really funny because when someone pulled up in the lot, we always had to think of a conversation starter. He said, focus on these things first when they step out the car. Look at the bumper stickers. And if you know the bumper sticker of something, then you just go along with it. You know, like if they have like Grateful Dead sticker or like a fish sticker or something like that, like, oh, what show did you go to? You know what I mean? Like, oh, I haven't seen that in a long time. Or if they had like a yellow tag, you know, it's a rental car. Like, oh, when'd you wreck your car? You know, they're like, damn, this guy's fast. You know?
Yeah.
And you always want to break the ice sooner. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you need to ask, like, are you looking in this price range or do you want to be in this area? You know what I mean? It's one or the other most of the time. Is it the price or is it the area? Can it be both? You know, like at the same time. And what I was telling another realtor on my last podcast, Rachel, was like, we need to focus more on the payments instead of like the final price. Because since we're getting like us right now, we're 29 years old. And when we buy a house, we can't think of it like it's going to be really our forever home. And that's why like buying new construction can be kind of scary for some people because I asked my dad once, I said, Dad, how long does it take for you to get equity out of your house from building a house? Like if you want to sell it right off the bat. He said probably about 20 or 30 years after you build it.
Wow.
Because like, I said just for example, like this house was built in 94. It would cost more to build this house today than it would be. Well, yeah, today. Well, yeah. And it's just kind of interesting because everything's made differently, you know, and that's why I always tell people if you're not looking for your forever home, if you want to get some equity, look at a house that's 20 years old and offer 10 to 20% less.
Right.
You know what I mean? And we're definitely in that type of market right now. And agents just have to be a little bit more savvy of like how they're talking to their clients and really take control and so letting their client take control of them. Because that's what I've seen before, you know, like it's hard. It's definitely hard to say something to your client, like, are you sure? And like, what about this factor? You know, like, aren't you getting divorced?
Yeah, right.
Things like that.
Yeah, it's, I think and this is actually why I got into real estate is like the experience of a buyer is, a lot of people are salesy and they just have commission breath and they just want to lead with like whatever they say. It's like you didn't even get pre-approved yet and you're out there showing people houses. Like you don't even know if that monthly payment makes sense to them. And you didn't ask the fundamental questions up front to like really get to know like their goals and aspirations and all that stuff. So something that's huge and important to me and a big pillar of my business is I lead with transparency. I don't care if you're not gonna like what I gotta say, but my number one goal is I'm not trying to sell you something. I'm trying to help you. So if you want me to help you, like you're gonna not like to hear some things when I tell you this. Is like, you told me you have to have a backyard with a fence. Like, why are you sending me, you know, this, like, or whatever it is? But
yeah, like what made you change your mind of this and everything?
Right. I mean, because of course that happens, but, or, hey, like you said you wanted this monthly payment, like you're sending me houses that are $100,000 more, like, let's talk about that. But yeah, so I think it's important to set expectations up ahead of time. And I do that through like buyer strategy meetings. So that initial first conversation of like setting expectations of what to expect during the transaction, finding homes, all that stuff. Telling them the steps, like, hey, number one, you have to get pre-approved. Like, that's the first step. Here's why it's so important. And a lot of people don't start with that, and then they find themselves running into a lot of trouble, like, throughout the transaction. And that's when, you know, the buyers don't understand, and they try to take the lead, and it gets messy.
Yeah, and I've definitely been seeing a lot of that going on in Florida here, because especially with the insurance and taxes, is to say, like, if the house is older, the insurance is going to be a lot more than a newer construction house.
Yeah.
And everything like that. And a lot of realtors that I say, like, I'm working with lenders and I really don't get to talk to the realtors so often. So when I only deal with one person, it's hard to deal with the other person at the same exact time, because the realtors are the ones who are dealing with inspectors and everything like that. And sometimes they'll get within like a week before closing, and then they try to get insurance, and then they see there's something wrong with the 4-point inspection that needs to be done, or just something like so little that could have gotten, handled in the very beginning. That's why I tell like realtors like yourself and everything, if we start working together, like, hey, if we can, like, before we put an offer down, let's see what the insurance is before.
Right.
Then we get in contact with the lender, make sure the DTI is really good.
Yeah.
And like, if the guy is fine with the deductibles this high, to try penny pinch it. And I'm like, that's totally fine. But you got to everyone's got to be known way ahead of time before things get bad.
Yeah.
Because the first time when I bought my house, like my pipe burst within like 2 months. And I didn't have water backup with the carrier I had with Citizens, because they were the cheapest one. Yeah. So I was like, okay, well, I'll go with them. You know what I mean? And nothing's wrong with Citizens, but they're way over capacity right now. They're taking way more policies than they need to be. And thank goodness they're making it harder for people to go with them, because they're way overinsured. Hopefully not anymore. But the thing is, though, when I'm competing with an insurance agent, they'll just send the client the quote without even going over it with them. And they might not even know they have water excluded, and they're wondering why it's so cheap.
Right.
They're like, well, your quote's $1,000 more than my quote. And I look at it, I'm like, well, you got limited water. So that only covers up to $10,000, and you got framed house. That, like, I think like the average water damage is way over $10,000 if you have a framed house. Yeah. And you just never know where it's going to stretch out to and everything. And that's why it's so scary with all these like new internet insurance companies, because they don't even have an agent to talk to. They'll just have like a little box on the bottom that's like, if you have any questions, please let me know. Yeah. I'm like, or that client didn't go through a 200-hour insurance class to really know what they're getting covered by, because doctors and lawyers don't even know what they're even looking at. Right. Well, it's pretty nuts.
Like, just like kind of what you're saying is like, you take the time to have their best interests in mind, is like you observe the house in the area, and like everything that you would say like, hey, you need this, like and I think another thing too, why it's so important to get insurance right away, is like if it's a flood zone, like that you're adding potentially a couple $100 more a month on your monthly mortgage, and if you don't find that out until like well within the contract, like, man.
Oh, I know, it's pretty crazy, because like the average flood zone, probably if you're in a flood zone, is probably within $1,500 to $3,000. Yeah. So that's an extra $120 to $300 on your payment. Yeah. And that could totally just crash the whole DTI like deal and DTI and stuff like that. And like everywhere is a flood zone, but like just depends like how elevated you are
in Florida.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts. Like I'm in a flood zone because my house is like slanted down. So if you saw like as it slanted. But like my flood map just touches an inch of my house, like just the corner of the back, and just declares as a flood. Wow. Yeah. So I was like, that's crazy. Damn. Yeah. Dang. But you live and you learn. Sure. But also, the flood zone thing kind of also helped out too for me buying the house, because not that many people were wanting to buy a house in a flood zone. Yeah. So there were some advantages from that, and you ask a lot of questions like, asked the previous homeowners, I said, has there ever been a flood in this house? Have you had any flood damage or anything? Nope, not one drop. I was like, okay, all right. I'll take your word on it. Yep.
Right. There's no insurance claims. Like,
yeah, you look. I can look back on that.
Yeah. Right.
So it was actually it was things like that though. That's when you can offer less on a house. Yeah. Like I offer less on this house and everything. I was very fortunate to get it. And but that's the thing. You never know until you try. Right. Same with this, and same with doing real estate. Like what made you really want to get your real estate license, like from your previous job?
From my previous job, somebody I knew was in real estate, and somebody I knew was in real estate, and I saw like the lifestyle they were living and stuff. Kind of like being your own boss, doing what you wanted to do when you wanted to do it. And unfortunately working probably like way more, obviously, than a 9 to 5.
Yeah, because it never stops.
It never stops.
Never stops.
Yeah. And I'm a night owl, so I'll be up to like 2 a.m. Like if someone texts me, like I'm texting you back.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
But don't text me before 8 a.m. But So yeah, like it was kind of like a mix of my experience. Looking back on my own home buying experience, I felt very like pretty uneducated and like not knowing what was going on. Just like sign this document, and it's like, wait, what does this mean? Like, what am I doing? And like when the inspection came back, it's like, let's just ask for the HVAC to get replaced. And I'm like, but what does this do? Like, what does this mean? Like, it has cast iron plumbing and like it's built in the 50s and the electrical and like there's so many questions, but it was just like, just do this. And I'm like, okay. So for me, it's so important that I take my experience with that and have somebody else have a way better experience. So I'll educate people throughout the process. I'll tell them their options and what things mean, and I'll bring in professionals to also educate them. And then I'm like, you drive the boat. Like, if you want my advice, I'll tell you what I think you should do. But at the end of the day, like, you're the decision maker in this. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's really good. And it doesn't sound like you're like an order taker too. You just ask the right questions and everything. Mm-hmm. Like, what needs to be done, like in the future and stuff. You know, like when I was a realtor in Virginia, I felt like realtors were doing the whole transaction. You know, we were handling the whole inspection, we were handling the whole getting them pre-approved, and then, you know, just things like that. It was very interesting. And we did see like a different type of wave with agents of just trying to get things done very, very fast and just try, like you said, like kind of just speaking money in their own breath.
Right.
You know, instead of like really trying to ask enough questions, and they're not going to try to, you know, badmouth you in the future. Like, this guy got me in this house very fast. Maybe it was too fast.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. I didn't even think about what questions to ask. And now that I'm in this house and I'm like, wait, like my realtor didn't like guide me on they don't know what they don't know. And once they know and they find out, then they're like, whoa, like you should have known this. You should have been guiding me into these questions to ask. So yeah, it puts you in a bad position. So
yeah, I like how you said that you do you know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And or you don't know what you don't.
Right. They don't know what they don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't know what questions to ask.
When that happens, really, like everything always is going to repeat itself.
Right.
You're always going to get the wrong outcome and everything like that until you really figure out the right answer. And it's kind of like math. You say once you know what 1 + 1 is, you finally know what 2 is.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, what came first, the chicken or the egg? I don't know.
Yeah, right.
Things like that. But no, that's awesome, because like since you got into real estate during COVID, of that crazy era, and still being in it right now, and because right now we are seeing like the commission drop from 6% to 5%, and I think the reason why of that is because a lot of agents are getting antsy. You know, they're not really giving the real value of like being what a real estate agent is and what they're really going to be offering them. Because I think that 5% is going to go right back to 6%, because like a lot of the people who just got their license and didn't learn anything, and were selling houses when they were lucky, then they're going to fall through. You know, they're going to dilute out of the bucket, and then that regular 6% or 7% is going to come back. When I was with Sotheby's for a while, and when we were talking about listing houses and stuff, I had this one really good mentor named Jack also, and he would list all of his houses 7%. And during the time when they were going between 5 to 6, because it was showing them like how much money they're really going to be making, instead of like, yeah, this is going to be your percentage and everything, but like, how would you feel if I made you this? If I was able to make you this, can I get this? And they're like, well, yeah, obviously, like 100%. So okay, well, follow everything in my lead, and don't worry, we will get to this. And I think that's like really is what's going to make these next top agents, is like that you do have to be not an order taker to the client. You have to give a list to the client of what they have to do also to be able to get them to make money, for you to make more money also at the same exact time. And because when you said earlier, it was funny what you said, because you wish that you were selling houses before that, because you said there was probably a lot more money into it. Maybe I think right now we're going to see like a really big housing boom soon. I think we're definitely see a lot of houses going back on the market. It's going to be very interesting, because like, especially with the rates, you know, from what I've seen from being with my dad and everything in real estate my whole entire life, like of how many people sold their house and bought a house during that time. And the average person lives in their house probably 6 years of after they sell a house.
Yeah.
So it's going to be very interesting of the people who bought their house during COVID, you know, like, and what's going to happen now.
Yeah.
Because like now they can make their money back if they wanted to, because a lot of them were paying closing costs, paying a lot of money up front. And by the same time, they might not want to sell it because they got amazing rate as like a 2.5% or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be a very interesting gap right there.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like the survival of the fittest. You know, the best realtors like yourself who are a go-getter and everything like that is really going to change the game.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm like really trying to target of realtors now.
Mm-hmm.
And because like you guys are so very different from like what the last generation was, and a little bit of a blend of what they can be, if that makes sense, because they're all falling through. You know, that's why we have all these like real estate websites like Zillow and Redfin, all of them. They're all trying to accommodate people with internet leads. But we all know, it's like you said, like unless you really interact with the person, you're really not going to build that really long-term relationship with them.
Right.
And I think that's what the really beautiful thing is in real estate, because as long as you see that beautiful smile coming in the front door, or having your face on the sign, like, oh, that's my realtor. You know what I mean? Like I see my dad's realtor on a bench all the time. I'm like, there she is. And like she's always doing it. Just things like that. And it's like one of those things, as long as you keep on moving, you're going to succeed no matter what.
Yeah.
You know, and it doesn't matter about like what people say or what they not say. And I don't know what religious view you are, if you even have one, but like one of my favorite things that Jesus ever said, always love your enemies. You know what I mean? They might hate you, they hated me, but guess what? At the end of the day, it doesn't matter.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and sometimes you might make the most money off your enemies.
Yeah.
At the same exact time too. So just things like that, because you always got to learn from them too.
Yeah.
You know, like that's why there's like rivalries in football and sports and stuff. You know, that's why they play them twice a year. You know?
I think it's like what you're saying, like the survival of the fittest kind of thing. What sets you apart is going to be expensive, or it's going to be the most important thing for you. It's like, what is your value proposition? Like the agents who are just eating 8 or 5%, like, did you show your client that value proposition, what you're bringing to the table, what you're taking care of? Are you taking care of staging or photos or videography? And did you break that down to them? Did they get to see, like, at the end of the day, like, what that looks like when you split it all up? And I mean, even when you make it make sense hourly for them, like if they want to have a deep conversation about like where commission's going kind of thing, like after taxes and all that stuff. So if like at the end of the day, that's where I resort to, is like breaking it down truly for them to actually see the value of why the commission that I'm proposing is important to me, and why it's different versus a agent who's just going to fold at a 5%. Like if they can't even negotiate their own commission, like how do you expect them to negotiate your, like, making you the most money or getting you the best deal if you're a buyer? So yeah.
And you see how fast they want to sell the house too.
Right.
I think that's like the biggest thing also. Like, well, when do you want to get out of this house? Do you want to move right away? Because that can be the outcome right there. Like they want to move very fast. And that can make sense of like lessening your commission if they just want to get rid of the house. You know, it's kind of like wholesaling the house at the same exact time. But like if they got time and they want to look around for houses, then stick to where you're at, because you never know like what you're going to get. Great. But also too, like there's a lot of these listing agents right now, well, some, not a lot, but are doing like 1% listings,
Yeah,
which is crazy. I'm like, you don't want to be that 1% lister, because like then you are looking like an order taker, like almost in a way. Yeah. And you're not really trying to show yourself that you do have value. You're just trying to get that quick deal. And that's kind of like that used car salesman vibe, even though I love used car salesmen because I sell cars. Because you do have to put yourself out there, but like how little are you going to put yourself out there? You know, like I see that person, I'm not saying who it is, but when I saw that person put out his 1% sign, I'm like, that does look like a 1%er. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like it just kind of shows you like what you really want to be and how strong and savvy you want to be at the end of the day. Yeah. You know, I think that's like the biggest thing. Like we need agents like yourself and a lot of other people letting them know and giving the education of what they have to do. Because that's a lot of people are not doing that. They're just listing it and they're just hoping to God it's going to sell. Yeah. And we're not in that market anymore. Right. You know,
it does take, a strategy. Yeah. And a lot of people aren't used to that. And you'd be surprised like how some agents don't even answer their freaking phone, and text you back, and like how you have to harass people when you put an offer in. It's like,
I'm like, do you want this deal?
Right. Or like when you see a house on MLS and they have like Android pictures, like, of course your home's been on market for 100 days. Like, your agent won't answer their phone and you have Android pictures. Like, why? And you're probably, well, back when you could see commission on MLS, like, and you see.
Oh, they don't have that on there anymore?
No. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. It was August 17th with the lawsuit when everything changed. That was one of the biggest things, was that commission was no longer visible on MLS. You can't put it anywhere on MLS.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is that just, I'm wondering if that's just for Florida. I guess.
No,
that might be the whole nationwide. That is crazy.
Yeah. So before you could see like, okay, I'm going to make 3% on this, like, or they're offering 3%, whatever. And you would just write it in the contract. But now it's completely changed where you can't see it. You have no idea what it is. Sometimes agents won't even tell you what it is. And you have to negotiate your commission within the contract. So some agents, like, you could be offering 3%, but one agent, they put 2% in there.
Yeah.
Well, you just
the other way around and stuff like that.
Right, right. Or so I just go on a strong 3 and then negotiate from there. But it's definitely changed the commission game, where it's like completely.
Well, it could give buyer agents more advantages and stuff like that, because like if the listing agent wants to sell the house, is it still up to the seller? So I said, like, yeah, they might be at like 5%, but you still want your 3%.
Right.
Like, the seller is going to be the one like, well, they brought us the buyer.
Exactly.
You know, and like, I think we're definitely going to see a lot more listing agents becoming buyer agents at the same exact time now, because I think, isn't there a rule, or not a rule, but like people were say like the buying agreements and everything like that for listing agents, now they can do that, or not double dip, but what's the word? Not dual agent. But someone told me like we're going to see a lot more listing agents bringing in buyers.
Gotcha. Yeah. I'm not sure. So like when you have a listing, like, you negotiate that commission up front, and some agents are different, like where they're still negotiating both sides, like, hey, like 6%, 5%, whatever. And then there's some agents who are just negotiating their commission. So, hey, you're going to pay me 3%. And here's why I'm listing it. The buyer's agent commission is negotiable, and like, here's what the numbers look like if you paid this. And like, at the end of the day, we can negotiate that. So it's a bit of a different conversation.
So now the listing agent can technically get like a flat rate almost in a way right off the bat, or can they not do that?
I mean, flat rate, it's more I don't think that's the language that's being used.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they could say like, hey, I'm negotiating my commission. This is what it is. The buyer's agent commission is negotiable. Like, and so we have no idea what they could ask for.
Yeah, but the listing agent can have theirs like set at 3% and everything like that.
Yeah.
Then the buyers can have theirs negotiable.
Right. It likely wouldn't. The listing agent
can also give up their percentage and everything like that.
They could. So, yeah, it's just it makes things more difficult. Like, for example, I was under contract when this first started, and we were negotiating repairs, and I was hardcore, like, pushing for a bunch of repairs for this buyer that was necessary and needed. And the listing agent tried to be like, okay, well, that's fine, but like, the seller's going to cut your commission. And I was like, no, they're not. And here's why. Like, here's all the things that I've done to create this fantastic transaction so far. I brought the buyer. Like, here's all the things that has been so easy. I've been communicative. Like, my commission does not deserve to be cut because of X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, especially with the repairs that probably still need to get done anyways for insurance for the next person.
Right.
So exactly. Like, they're already going to have to go through that again. And I think that's what a lot of listing agents really should start doing, is getting 4-point inspections ahead of time. Because like, then they know what to prepare for when they get an offer and stuff like that. That's what I'm seeing right now compared to like what it was from last year. Like, we were having a lot more cleaner 4 points compared to this year. Like, some people were just putting up houses up for sale, and the roof is way past its age limit, or the water heater's like over 25 years of age, and things like that. Like, they know that they need to get that replaced if it's unsatisfactory on the 4-point inspection. Because like, when I go back on it, I like to review it all with the client, just so like I can let them know, like, hey, this water heater is at 15 years of age, the carrier that we're going with, they require a new one every 16 years. They might keep you of that water heater after the 16 years, but your premium is going to go a little bit more up than what it typically is right now. And they're like, okay, thank you so much for letting me know. Compared to like a client giving me a call after my first year, this happened to me, is they say, hey, why did my premium jump up so much? And I was like, let me look. I have no idea. And I saw like, oh, it's the water heater. And his premium jumped up like $1,000 and the water cost like $800.
Right.
So like something just like that just flips it completely back around. And it's like, oh, okay, thanks for telling me that.
Yeah.
I'm like, I didn't know.
Yeah.
But I'll be honest with you. Is with my company's Goosehead Insurance, we're a broker, so we work with over 40 different home carriers. So it's like really learning every single bit of the guidelines. A lot of them have like the same bit, the guidelines, but a lot are very different. You know, like some don't want crawl spaces, some want slabs, things like that. Like can change the whole deal.
Yeah.
You know, like it's very interesting, especially a dog.
Yeah.
You know, like some carriers don't like pit bulls and German
breeds,
shepherds and stuff like that, and I'm like, dang, that's so messed up.
Yeah.
Do I even ask that question?
Right.
No, I did.
Yeah. One of my insurance carriers dropped me because it said one of the reasons was like a fence that was broken or something. And then they were like, in a breed of dog or something. And I'm like, I don't even own a dog. Like,
oh, really?
I don't have a dog, but okay.
They saw a raccoon in the backyard.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But I think what's so important about having like that connection, like you or I, versus like a 1% listing agent or a just an online insurance company, is that your client was able to text you and be like, or call you and be like, hey, what's going on? Like, or hey, after they talk to you, like, hey, I need a plumber. Like, do you have a contact? Instead of calling some random Joe Schmo who's going to charge you $1,500 to put a water heater in or something. So I think that's really important to have that be able to have that relationship with somebody and utilize their knowledge and education and transparency, I guess, and to be able to call you and be like, hey, what's going on?
The best people like I like talking to the most are like the inspectors, because I say like if I work with a really good inspector, I work with one now named Joe Wilson. He's outstanding. If I ever need something like, let's say like I need just get updated pictures, I send it to him to update the 4-point instead of getting the repairs of something, then showing the carrier the receipt. Then I don't have to upload so many documents. He will just upload the new pictures and they don't have the bad pictures on there, and then they'll question. Because I have some carriers that won't even look at the new pictures I sent them, and they'll just look at the 4-point. I'm like, well, there's this other document that shows that it's repaired. They said, was that from a licensed plumber? I'm like, yes, it was.
Yeah. Yeah. Like it's just like a lot more you have to chase and annoying. Yeah.
It's funny like that. But those are the best ones. Like that's why I try to tell realtors, like, talk to your inspectors the most. You know, like they know all the insurance guidelines and everything too. And that's the most crucial thing for a realtor is have a really good lender, really good inspector, really good, insurance guy, because you're creating your own team almost in a way. Yeah. Then you're not just shuffling with different guys all the time. Yeah. Because as long as you work with this, I think most of the time the same people all the time, then you're always gonna get good customer service. Until they don't give good customer service, then you go find a different person. Right. Like me, I was lucky enough. I grew up in the customer service industry from working in a restaurant and with all the sales stuff and everything too. So I knew when someone was upset, I could kind of read the body language and hear it in the voice. I'm like, okay, what can I do to fix this? Right. And I think we all have to be like problem solvers at the end of the day. Oh yeah. And that's what's so great about like our industry, because you can't just get your license. In real estate, you have to take a 63-hour class. You have to pass it with over 70%, and it's like a 60% pass rate total. Like mortgages is 54%, insurance is like a 53%, and they're all so different, but they're also similar to a lot of things. And like right now, I'm getting my mortgage license just so I can learn both sides. I already did the real estate thing, and I thought about getting my real estate license, but I work with so many realtors, I don't even need a real estate license, if that makes sense. Yeah. And I work with lenders, but at the same time, I'm like, well, I'm so new to the area. I kind of just want to know more realtors. I do lenders, even though I love you guys. You guys are awesome. But just things like that, because like y'all are like the birds, if that makes sense. Like we don't have to feed you as much.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all find the deals first.
Yeah.
Y'all find the deals first, then
Right.
we come to you.
Right. Yeah.
And, you know, for lenders and mortgage loan officers, they're a lot different than realtors.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like they're in the office ready to go. Then they're out surfing probably like at 1 p.m.
Right.
You know, or then they're right back in the office and they're grinding and everything like
Right.
that. The realtors are the best ones to get a hold of right in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I've noticed that. And I don't know, you guys are just way nicer to talk to on the phone. My opinion.
That's interesting.
Well, y'all talk to more people if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah. I can see it.
Yeah.
Depends on, I'm sure, the person, but
No, that's awesome. Do you ever thought about creating your own real estate team, especially from the Jack's Gals?
that's interesting question. I think like long term, yes. I see myself like feeding into newer agents and creating like one or two or something small, because I think long-term goal is to nobody wants to stay in real estate.
Mm-hmm.
So or I guess like some people want to open doors at age 75, and that is not me. So especially where Jack's Gals is going, yeah, it's important for me to have a team where, I mean, I could feed business to those people. I don't have to turn anything away. If I'm busy with other avenues, people could still reach out to me and then know that they're going to be connected with somebody that I've trained, or like, you know, they'll get the same level of an experience or that they maybe had before with me. So
Yeah.
yes, the answer is yes.
Because that would be really cool, because like since you're already kind of giving them like for somewhere for them to go, if that makes sense. And like they're already asking you questions about real estate, and ask them a simple question like, you ever thought about getting a real estate license? And I'm like, well, maybe sometimes, yeah.
Yeah.
And then like you build a little team, and you pretty much become like, you know, like Steve or Tom Ferry, and just kind of like motivate them to do it, and just get them to work underneath you. Now, as long as you give like a good positive output on everything, you know, to give them motivation to do it, I think that's like the most beautiful thing, because like you're kind of like a leader to all these girls almost in a way, and that's very incredible. You know, not that many people can carry that big of a stick, you know, and that's a very big stick with that many of them. You know, I'll be very scared of 8,000 girls coming at me all at once.
Yeah.
And so I always got to make sure I got watch things I say.
Yeah.
You know, I got two sisters, so I know how to walk on
Get
glass.
it. Yeah. Yeah. That's funny.
But no, that's really awesome. And where can they go? Say if my mom want to go join a group like that, or like say like one of my sisters, where could they go to meet the Jack's Gals?
Yeah. So there's we're on Facebook, so Jack's Gals Social for right now. It'll soon be called just Jack's Gals. And
It
and
sounds
then,
like Jack.
I know.
Not mine.
No. Whenever I am like voice noting it, like it always says Jack, and I'm like, no, it's
I was
Jack.
like, literally, so
Jack's.
I'm like, no, not me.
Yeah. So, or Instagram, we're on Instagram now too. So Jack, Instagram, Facebook, pretty much.
No, that's really cool. No, that's really awesome. What's y'all have a next event going on or anything like that?
It hasn't been released yet. We haven't put anything out. Oh my gosh, my stomach just growled so loud. It hasn't been released yet, but yeah, we have the cookie party, cookie exchange party / like Christmas party in December. We have a drag show that's in January.
Oh, wow.
We've completely built out all of 2025's events. So we have some really cool things happening, like a golf tournament, a huge pool party. I'm trying to think of some big ones.
Anything for like charities or anything like that?
Yeah, so like that's actually one of our huge 2025 goals is so for our Valentine's event, we're going to be collecting like tampons and like different menstrual products for women who we could donate those products to.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, our golf tournament also is going to have some philanthropy aspects to it as well. We're still working out the details, but 2025 will definitely have a lot more.
Yeah,
donation.
like I bet that would be really cool, especially like with all the stuff that they need, you know, like the women's stuff. And like you ever thought about like seeing like homeless women on the side of the road and kind of like giving them like a whole new makeover and everything, and kind of giving them like some motivation?
I mean, yeah, there's definitely a lot
Give
of
them
that.
like a little bit of runway like model type of thing. Like we can totally help you if you want it. You know what I mean? Like if you want it, we got you.
Right.
We got 8,000 girls.
Yeah.
You know, like
I think for me at least, with a person who is just so incredibly busy, I would prefer to like donate to an organization or do stuff like that versus
But sometimes, like when you donate to them, they might not even do it.
Right. Yeah.
You know, that's why I see like in a lot of charities, like in taxes, you know, like we don't even know where all of our taxes even go. You know, like I would love to see like whatever I vote for, like where's that money going?
Right.
You know, and you see like a lot of big charities, they just take them all as write-offs. And no bashing any charities. I think charities are great, but it's always like the workers who take advantage of it all. And say like just saying for like our new taxes for assessed rates and stuff like that, like mine doubled from last year, and can't give me an explanation why, but just besides, oh, your house went up in value.
Yep.
Well, but where's it going?
Right.
Like, who's it paying? Someone's got a pay raise.
Right.
You know, like, should they get paid?
Yeah.
Like, I want to get paid back.
Right. Right.
But like, I think all of the new taxes are going to the new stadium. I think that's kind of makes sense a little bit there.
Yeah, Jacksonville needs it. It needs a little facelift. So.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely getting it. I know some wholesalers who are working in the Jacks city area, so they're definitely like remodeling a lot of those like $40,000 houses to make them into like $200,000 houses.
Oh yeah, I've been telling a lot of investors, like especially around the stadium right now, when those houses are $100,000, like buy those.
Yeah.
Like you need to buy it. We need to like load up, get them, because within 5 years, like those are going to be, like everyone wants a piece of the honey pot when there's already honey in it, but like being able to see that before other people see it that's when you make the most money.
Yeah, no, 100%. I've been saying this since last year that Jacksonville's got that next potential of being the next Tampa.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, it's gorgeous almost in a way. They like before I moved here, the media always made Jacksonville look like they were on parade of Florida.
Right.
Oh, I was like, that's so crazy. I'd never want to move to Jacksonville.
Right.
Then I visited John and Tiffany once when they were living here, my brother-in-law, my sister. And I was like, oh, this place is gorgeous. Like, why does the media make it look like the biggest crime rate of all time? Yeah. I was like, it's not Chicago.
Yeah. Right. People definitely sleep on Jax, but
yeah.
I mean, I think it's like cool for people here that like realize its potential already, where it's like you can buy the real estate, you could like see it blossom into and build communities and like be a pillar of a community before it becomes like a Tampa. It's like insane.
Yeah.
Insane.
Because like, well, I think what's so great about this area, there's not that many hotels.
Yeah.
Because like the height restrictions and everything like that y'all have, and it kind of doesn't bring in that many tourists.
Right.
Like Virginia Beach, where I'm from, we just put hotels all the way up the oceanfront boardwalk and stuff, and it just felt like that we were putting on a show for people like all the time for whoever was coming out of town to coming in here. And like for me working in a restaurant for 10 years before I got into anything was kind of like, I felt like we were like all actors. I'm like, well, it's starting to feel kind of weird. Now we're getting too many tourists here, it felt like. And you really didn't know who was a tourist and who was a local. Yeah. And kind of felt like, oh, should I even go talk to that girl? Is she even going to be here next week? It's just like things like that, you know, and it's like, but like here, everyone is around, you know what I mean? Like, and that's what's so great. And meeting people like you is very awesome because I thought this would be like the best way to meet people, you know what I mean? Like, and interacting with them. And this is actually like our first real conversation. You know, I never would have thought like, oh yeah, let me ask this girl if she wants to come on a podcast and let's see how things go, you know, things like that. Yeah. And that's awesome. Yeah.
There's, Jacksonville's also like full of transplants. It's funny when you talk to a transplant, and when I say that, it's like they're not born and raised in Jacksonville. They're like, wow, they're so amazed that I'm like born and raised here. And they're like, I don't know anybody like that. And I'm like, really? I guess being born and raised here, I know lots of people from Jacksonville, but there are a lot of transplants because Jacksonville's such an in and out city with like the Navy and like the military bases that we have and the Fortune 500 companies and all the, transient companies in general, like CSX and like all kinds of companies like that. So it is interesting, and I think that's why like Jack's Gals is so important too, because like
it creates a base almost in a way of like the locals and everything. And
it does.
That's really awesome.
Yeah.
Because like it's kind of funny how you say like a lot of transplants like of everybody and everything, because like it does feel like a lot of people were fleeing here during like the COVID times because like, you know, when things were getting locked down and stuff, people didn't see why are you trying to lock us out to go outside. You know what I mean? Then Florida was like one of the first states to reopen after like 2 weeks to a month. And the Florida real estate market skyrocketed because everyone wants to go outside. And I thought that was like very interesting. Like I came here because I saw the insurance companies leaving, and they were trying to make Florida look bad, and we already know that from working in the insurance industry. Thanks to BlackRock and Vanguard, love you guys too, because it gave me opportunity to come here.
Yeah.
But no, I always said like Florida is like the wild, wild west. You know, especially like in Jacksonville, it's actually probably the most affordable, best looking part of Florida. If you go down to like West Palm Beach, Fort Lauderdale, Miami, insurance is 5 times what it is down there.
And you're gonna be paying for a house like this like $1 million.
Yeah, no, literally. Like, and like the insurance on this house would be $15,000 to $20,000 a year.
Yeah.
You know, that's just like crazy. That's literally you're paying a mortgage for that. And like those areas, they're pretty much becoming like very big tourist spots almost in a way now. And kind of like the next Dubai down there, it seems like what they're trying to do. Yeah. Because like it's getting very interesting, like how Florida real estate market's becoming. Because I think 70% of the people who own a house in Florida are over 65 years old. So, some number close to that. So like within a couple years, there's going to be like a very big boom from people who are already doing reverse mortgages right now, who are just living off their equity of the house, and they're just going to end up selling. Right. And we're going to see like a very big boom because a lot of people want to move here still, and there's not that many areas to look, you know, still. And we have like these really nice townhomes going up and things like that, and they're great. You know, they're giving people great starter homes to start through. Right. But it kind of gives you like that thing what I told you from before, like how long it's going to take for you to like get equity on that house. Yeah. So as long as you pick a good area, then you know you can rent it out. Then that's when you're gonna make your money back. Okay, so if you're looking at long term for it, buying new construction is great if you're gonna rent it out afterwards. But yeah, do you have any questions at all for me?
So you said that you just moved here. You were in Virginia before?
Yep, Virginia Beach.
Are you born and raised there, or are you? Nice. Yep. What does that real estate market look like?
Well, let's see. Real estate over there is very interesting because like we have little parts of like the Tidewater area. So we would have like Hampton, Chesapeake, Virginia Beach. And so there would be like these little areas, pockets of places, kind of like counties. I guess they are counties. I always get those words mixed up. But the market there's just like no inventory. You know, it's very slim picking. And when I got my real estate license, I believe there was about 4,000 agents in that area. Then maybe a little bit more. Then it grew to like 10,000 agents within 1 year. So like everyone and their mom and their grandma and their aunt got their license during COVID. Yeah. So it wasn't like how like my friend Lauren and I went to Kellum High School, and we were pretty much like the only ones at our school who got their real estate license. Then during the 3 months, everyone got their real estate license. So it was kind of like, oh, my mom does it now. I can just ask her or ask her friend and stuff like that. Yeah. Instead of like, oh, why don't you ask your friend? Like he's selling real estate and everything.
That makes sense.
Then I went to a different team, and I started getting leads from like Carrollton area, which was like an hour away from Virginia Beach, because like the Virginia Beach leads were all taken up on Zillow, so I wasn't even on that map. So I started building up a clientele like in Carrollton, and I was like just driving out there every single day. Dang. And it was not fun. Yeah. So I was like, either I'm going to live here or I'm going to have to try to maybe change my profession. And I was still working at a bar at the same exact time when I was doing real estate. I was working at this really cool old haunted hotel called the Cavalier. You definitely should look it up if you ever go to Virginia Beach. Check it out. It's been there probably over 100 years maybe. It's the founder of Coors Light fell out the window out of there, so like it's kind of like a haunted story. Then cool. Richard Nixon stayed there, a whole bunch of people stayed there, and apparently he burnt like the tapes of things down there of evidence. So it's kind of, there's some history behind it. Okay. It definitely is haunted, and that's what's so kind of cool about it. Heck yeah. But yeah, it's a little bit about me. So cool. Yeah, then I opened up the Goosehead Agency. We officially launched July, but I didn't start selling until August of last year. And it was technically 3 partners. Then they realized it was more like a one-man show. Then I ended up taking over the whole entire company. Oh, nice. Because I was actually the only one doing all the work, kind of. Like they helped me start it, and they realized like, okay, wait, how long is it going to take us for for us to make money. It takes 3 months for you to get paid on a policy, and you only get paid this much, and you got to do 40 transactions to be able to make this much. I'm like, yeah, and I'm still learning. You know, what I mean, you don't want to mess up you don't want to write a policy that's something's bad happen to it. You know, like that was always my worst fear. And like I've always been like a very big go-getter and chasing deals, but these are the ones like I want to nurture as much as I can and build really good relationships like with realtors like you and lenders like you, and not burn the bridges so fast. I'm like, oh, that client hates me. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, he gave me a really bad price. I'm like, well, this is the reason why like, my price is like this. And so I don't want to be a person who writes a quote and just send it to them and they don't know what they're looking at. Because every client at 99.5% of the time, they're going to look at the premium, and that's all they're going to look at. And not what they're covered by. And they're going to see like, why is my house $400,000 I'm buying and I'm only getting covered $250,000? It's so surprising. So agents can manipulate the numbers instead of giving them really what's on the sheet. So
what will protect them long run.
Yeah, exactly. And it's always better to work with an agent, like a broker, because I say like going to one company who only sells that one company. They're only accommodating that one company. So like, you never know, it's hard to shop around. And when they call me, like I have a system that will pull them all up. All at once. They'll give me the rough drafts of things, and if I just know a little bit of the guidelines and call them, and I can definitely find the cheapest one and the best price, you know, best coverage at the same exact time. And that's why I kind of like doing it, even though there's not as much money in it up front. It is more long term. Because like the residual and everything like that. It's like I said, from some people, it's like creating a beach with a salt shaker. You know, you're just filling 1 grain of sand and you're bringing it to the beach, and you're just keep on collecting it up. You know, that's what, same with real estate. It's the same exact thing. If you're not giving good rapport, not giving good customer service, they're not going to refer you any deals. Like the best realtors are all sphere influence. And I've noticed that for my whole entire life with my dad, with his realtors that he worked with in Virginia Beach, and even the ones here, they know everybody. You know what I mean? Like the biggest thing is like going to like events and everything, like Eventbrite and socializing. And for me, I'm old school, so like I like going to open houses to meet these realtors who feel so awkward when I come in there and I tell them I'm not here to buy the house. They're like, yeah, no, I just came to introduce myself. I'm new to the area. I'm like, introduce yourself? What do you mean? Like, here's my card. And I'm like, whoa, I never had an insurance guy ever come to an open house before.
It was different. But I think it's a value proposition of like, it sets you apart kind of thing. And yeah, I think that's cool.
Well, I really appreciate you coming on and everything.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate you.
I got to take out my dog. I think that's why he's whining.
He was very cute.
Well, if you can, could you give them a little bit of information on how to contact you and everything like that?
Oh, yeah. So my Instagram is at Selling with Sadie. Email hello@sellingwithsadie. And yeah, Instagram Jax Gals at Jax Gals Social. We'll soon be at Jax Gals only. And that's it.
Not my gals.
No. Jacksonville Gals.
Hopefully I get to meet them one day. And they're like, oh, you're the famous Jack. I'm like, no, you wish.
No.
I'm just kidding. Well, thank you again.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate you.